Channel 24 came on the air at a time the war in Korea was just winding down, and soon we'd be welcoming home the men and women who were there in what we had called a police action. In Fresno, there was a parade to honor hero and former POW warrant officer Dwight Pappy Cox. But Madera's Carl Duran wanted a quiet homecoming. Being home was enough. We'd all had enough of combat on a foreign soil. Probably few people noticed that small story in the newspaper in the middle of page 21D. Or in that story in Look magazine from a recently defeated candidate for president. Adlai Stevenson said he had concerns about what was then called French Indochina. We didn't see anything about it on television because TV was yet to come. The Valley had to wait for TV after the FCC decided that 12 channels just weren't enough for the nation, and they expanded into UHF. By the time they were through, our Valley would only have those new frequencies, the ones between 14 and 83.
I hope you like the way we all look and the way we sing and sound and perform tonight. Dreams. We start...
Newcomers in the Valley found it hard to accept the fact they couldn't watch their favorite shows, or any shows, until mid-1953. This particular broadcast of the popular Fred Waring show was never seen here until this very moment. Later on, those same people would find it hard to accept the fact that their old sets couldn't pick up the new UHF signals without a converter of some kind. John P. Donaghy was among those advertising converters. Be ready when TV hits the air. And once the FCC told McClatchy newspapers they had to go ahead to put on the Valley's first honest-to-goodness TV station, they were ready too. They had held auditions. Dean Mell did a practice coffee commercial and spilled most of it on his lap. He was much better at doing the news. Joe Drilling, the KMJ sports guy, did the audition film with the Fresno State Brass. The technical crews worked around the clock, putting together all the bits and pieces that went into making a television station. There was Bart and Irv and so many more. Here's one of the studio crew. His name, Hugh Shurtleff. Read to his friends. His experience? Well, how about the time he spent working with his uncle, Philo Farnsworth, the man called the father of television? Red told us about those early days when they used a cat, Felix the Cat doll, as a model for the very earliest TV test. For years, here's a trivia bit for you. Felix was TV's most famous unpaid star. One who claimed to be one of his kin, Felix's kin that is, worked with us too. Using the best of human know-how, piece by piece, step by step, it was all put together. Up and down the valley, almost every rooftop sprouted an antenna, getting ready for that big day. And the old-fashioned test pattern became the most popular thing in town. The ad said, come in and see it. When you come right down to it, the 24 test pattern had to be just about the highest-rated, most-watched program ever in the Valley on this or any other TV station, if you could call it a program. The countdown continued. May 16th, 17th, 23rd, 24th, and then came that very first night. After all of the inaugural programs, 24 got down to business. The Voice of Firestone ended, and Jack Hall made the 9 o'clock station break.
Thank you, and good evening for Firestone.
Our premiere night continues when Robert Montgomery presents in just 30 minutes. This is the Valley's first and only television station, KMJ TV, Channel 24, Fresno. It's 9 p.m. BULOVA, Bull of a Watch time.
The thriller, The Unexpected, came on the air at 9. So far, so good, but the most exciting part was yet to come. For in England, Princess Elizabeth was about to become queen. Channel 24's first program director, Joseph Tomes, remembers.
As you know, Fresno is an ultra-high-frequency market. When we came on, there were sets already in the market, but they were all VHF, and they were tuned to San Francisco. We needed something that would help sell ultra-high-frequency sets and get those who had VH sets to convert to UHF. So we had a very, very lucky break in the fact that the day after we began, Queen Elizabeth II was crowned in London. Now, the networks achieved something remarkable. They hired an old cargo plane and set up a film processing lab on the plane, and as they were crossing the Atlantic with the exposed film, they processed it and edited it, and when it got back, it was all ready to televise. This was a great boost to Channel 24. There were many UHF sets sold.
Well, from that point on, television, so long in coming, was here to stay. In those early days, with one television station, everything was right here. The stars of NBC and CBS, of the struggling ABC just trying to stay afloat, and Dumont, which didn't. There were the live local shows, too, like Bob Dyer's Fresno Cookbook. For the very first time, black and white pictures would come into the home, and it wouldn't cost you a penny, except, of course, for the set. And the movie rental business saw its days numbered, the article said. Why rent a film at a projector when you could see it free on TV? And at 7:45 every night, John Cameron Swayze would hopscotch the world news headlines on the Camel Newsreel Theater, now called the Camel News Caravan.
Today's news today.
Ladies and gentlemen, a good evening to you. Now from Milwaukee come films of a tragic and startling train wreck.
One of the worst disasters of the Labor Day weekend, the head-on crash of two special excursion trains of the Milwaukee Rapid Transit System.
Washington. General MacArthur is quoted by Representative Scott of Pennsylvania and Latham of New York as saying that the United Nations forces will utterly destroy the North Korean commies before they can retreat to the 38th parallel. Glad we could get together. John Cameron Swayze saying goodnight for Camel Cigarettes.
The local news came on earlier. It started at 6.
Now the latest weather forecast, today's top market reports, and news and features from the nation's richest farming region. This is Today in Agriculture with farm editor Ed Sturgeon.
Good evening, everyone. The Terminus Success Flood Control Dams Association in Tulare County has voted to send a two-man delegation.
Ed Sturgeon and Dean Mell, Valley Television's first two anchor men. On June 1st, 1953, Ed came on at 6 p.m. with the latest farm news and weather. Dean followed at 6:15 with the latest news. And now, for the very first time, Valley viewers could hear and see the news events of the day.
6 p.m. news time with Dean Mell. KMJ TV brings you 15 minutes of Valley and world news gathered and edited by the news staffs of KMJ TV and the Fresno Bee, and from the news services of United and Associated Press. Now news time with Dean Mell.
Good evening, everyone.
Dean Mell would introduce us to the local news and the newsmakers. And Channel 24 had only been on the air a few weeks when Dean found himself right in the middle of one of the biggest stories of our first 40 years, Fresno under martial law. More on that right ahead.